That's right.
We're being joined by Congressman Bennie Thompson, who's, of course, ranking member on Homeland Security out of Mississippi. And he and Derek and Angela all work together in the House, the lower chamber of Congress.
We work for this lovely gentleman. He's also the superstar that you all will recognize from the January 6th Special Committee.
That's right.
It would not have all happened. What was it?
Your hair look good today. It look good.
Welcome, boss.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
You arrived just in time, Congressman, because Derek was about to tell us what is the biggest challenge he faces at the NAACP and needs all of our help and try to address.
He gave a money sign.
The Congressman already said it.
It's money. It's people with common sense and courage.
Yeah.
You get the money, common sense, and courage. You know, the Congressman and I. Been 14 years ago. I was in D.C. for something. And we was trying to get someone to activate because we was doing inside-outside strategy. And he says, you know, I'm getting older. You can't do this by yourself. We need to build something so we can replenish the progressive black community in Mississippi. Here you are, 14 years later, we have a whole system where we train people over 9 months, 25 folks, and we put them. We have U.S. Attorney nominees, district attorneys, sheriffs, beauticians, barbers, because leadership don't come with titles or degrees. Right. Yeah. It comes with courage and common sense. That's how we see this.
Congressman, I want to bring you in the conversation because Derek was just explaining to our listeners something we all know, that a lot of times in the mainstream media, when we talk about rural politics, the face of that politic is the body politic is a white person. When we know a lot of our community lives below the Bible Belt in rural communities, we too are rural America. You have championed legislation, the lack of hospitalization in the South. That was a piece of legislation that you introduced in the House to make healthcare more accessible. What would you say to the people who feel forgotten about in those Bible belts? Like, how can they too sing America and be acknowledged that they too are a part of a country that sometimes so often forgets about them?
Well, thank you so much for having me. The notion is, in this democracy, you have to participate.
Yeah.
What we have to do is organize those communities just like we organize urban areas. They're no different. They've just been overlooked. And once you get there, you find out, gee, they're just like people in the big city.
Yeah.
And so what we have to do is have a joint strategy, urban, rural, to make sure that no one is overlooked. Our problem in America is that we somehow, even in urban areas, overlook the black community. Mm-hmm. In the rural areas, they're forgotten. Mm-hmm. And so we just resolved a lot of black farmer issues in this country.
Huge deal. Huge deal.
But this is the fourth time we've had to do a payment.
Yes.
You know, we did the Pickford case.
Pickford 1 and 2.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden, people say, oh, isn't that wonderful? No, but we're still behind.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there are a lot of people who still owe debt that got the money, but they owe more money in debt.
Shout out to John Boyd.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So what we have to do now is to somehow come up with that strategy that encompasses it all. And so that's why at a convention like this, we need to make sure that a lot of those policies, after we celebrate, are talked about.
Yes.
And that policy is absolutely how we put it together.
Boss, that's one of my favorite things about having worked for you, and I think still work for you. I learn from him all the time. And you will always say, we can celebrate this, but we got work to do. So we can't celebrate too long. What are some of the things that you think it is imperative, in addition to taking care of our rural communities, that have to be addressed this week? We know there are protests happening simultaneously.
Yeah, but, you know, to be honest with you, the protests that are going on, when you talk to people in my district, it's probably number 20 out of 15.
Wow.
In terms of priority. Because everybody is in a survival mode.
That's right.
They want to make sure that kids get education. They want health care. Now, you can talk foreign policy, but, you know, it's about what I'm getting right here at home. And if the policies don't impact me at home, it's tough for me to look overseas at a policy.
That's real.
The other situation we have to do is to make sure that the policymakers don't overlook people. That paternalistic approach to politics is crazy. That means that, oh, you just elect me and I know what's good for you. That's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
You know, unless you've walked in my shoes, you don't know anything about me
Right.
other than what you might have read. And so our challenge in this country is to put those concerns on the front burner.
Yeah.
You know, too many times we've been told, oh, we gonna get to it.
Yeah.
You know, I got to get elected, and
Yeah.
you know, look, every major entity in this country has leverage, but somehow the black community has always been told, well, you know, it'll come, you know, it'll come, and it never comes.
Yes.
Congressman, can you speak to, as our nominee, Kamala Harris continues to make her rounds around the country, a lot of time in really important flip states. But I wonder, to the point that you just made, for the community that sits at home and says, we're always the backbone of this party, but we rarely get to toil in the largesse of it. What advice might you have for her as she, of course, rightly focuses on some of these swing states to ensure that a message is delivered to our at-home community that she's going to be their president too?
Well, that's why the speech I'm looking for Thursday night has to be encompassing of all the Democratic constituents. And I think she is that person properly positioned to make those arguments on behalf not just of people of color, but people who have been left out.
Yeah.
And so it's look, people on the other side are going to demagogue her
For sure.
anyway.
Right. That's
sure.
it.
So you might as well come with those issues that are important. And once you come with them, then you go with it.
Yeah.
But you come with sound policies. Those policies around health care, those policies around education, those about income insecurity, all those kind of things. One thing she's talking about with the housing issue. Well, you know, when you put that $25,000 down on a home ownership thing, guess who does the financing?
That's right.
Guess who owns the lumber
Right.
company?
That's
Talk
right.
about it.
You know,
That's right.
So it's good for the economy.
Yeah.
Don't look at that family that gets a home for the first time.
That's the
Right.
only beneficiary. Yeah.
I'm still putting water systems together in my district. When the system comes and say, well, why are you always helping them? I said, I'm glad you asked. Do you know who owned the pipe company that sells all these pipes for this rural water system?
Yeah.
You know who sells the meter?
Who's supplying
Right.
the pipes?
Yeah.
Right.
So all we get is the water.
Yes.
We get none of the economics.
Yes.
Now, if we are really radical, we would say to that pipe company, you have to have a
Come on.
diversity,
You better-
equity, and
better say it.
inclusion
Tell 'em,
program.
boss.
Better
so,
say it.
So that when that community gets water, they also get some of the
Jobs.
economics
That's
that
right.
go with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
right.
some say that's radical, but that's paying community back,
Common
Yeah.
sense.
putting people in office.
Right.
Let me just ask a question of both of you guys while you're here and before y'all traverse and meet all these people, good folk out here. What I've been admiring is 1984 was Jesse. 2008 was Barack Obama. 2016 was also Hillary with a little history. They all stand on the shoulders of Fannie Lou and they stand on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm. But what are you seeing in this convention that makes Kamala Harris a little bit different? And what do you hope we learn from all of those heroes and heroines that have come before?
Well,
And that's for both. I want both of you guys to answer.
Yeah, well, I knew Fannie Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very personally. She became my role model. The first real campaign I worked in was her campaign for Congress, of which I now represent that district.
Come
Wow.
on.
So, you know, history has a way of
Yeah.
repeating itself. So that legacy we can't let become forgotten. So for 60 years, she came and said to Democrats, you know, you got to do better. You know, you can't patronize us and then enjoy all the spoils of victory. You have to be inclusive. And that's what we have to do as a people, is not let our friends forget us.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Not let our friends take us for granted. And so for Fannie Lou celebration, 60 years, we still in training.
Yes.
Because we haven't fulfilled that notion that somehow, as Fannie Lou said, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And a lot of us are sick and tired of being sick and tired of telling our friends what they need to do.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Say it for the people in the back, boss.
Yeah.
The lesson in all of this is none of us can do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we think we are the super person that's going to do it by ourselves, we're going to fail every time.
Every time.
And we're going to disrupt progress of people. I grew up in Detroit. I come to Mississippi. I went to Tougaloo, and instantly I was surrounded by, a large number of folks who were civil rights veterans, whether SNCC or whatever else, and I felt at home. Yeah. Why? Because the lessons that were there for me not to make old mistakes. We've got to stop making old mistakes. There's new ones to make. Secondly, you have people who were committed to improve the quality of life of our communities, and they had been doing it for generations. Thirdly, I have a responsibility to both listen to the wisdom and train the youth, because if we don't do that, we will lose the progress that's made. That's right. We wouldn't be sitting here. We would have never had a Barack Obama if it wasn't for your father, if it wasn't for Fannie Lou Hammer, if it wasn't for, you can name a lot of people, including Congressman Thompson, Ella Baker, because they sacrificed, and they were not, celebrities then. We celebrate them more now, but now that they're dead than when they was alive. And so we need more people who are willing to sacrifice to improve the quality of life of all black folks and not just for themselves.
Yeah.
Amen.
Can I ask, so Congressman, I want to tell you that Angela told us a story one time about when she was with your staffer, and she was exhausted with something, and she made the mistake of saying she was tired, and you said, you tired?
No, I said stressed out.
Stressed
He
out.
knows.
Stressed out. And you stressed out. We heard you gave her quite the tongue lashing that day for being stressed out.
Well, when I was a young child,
Not a child.
You hear this, D?
Not a child.
who loved me the most,
Yes.
gave me the worst whooping of my life. And that was my mama.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And look, and after mama disciplined me, she said, I did that because I love you.
Yeah.
Or worse, she said, that hurt me more than it hurt you.
Yeah.
So I take Angela in that perspective because I see the talent.
Yeah.
The other thing she didn't tell you, she might have, is I told her that her job
Yes, he did.
was to help me make some black folk rich
There it is.
in the government space.
There it is.
She looked at me and said, I said, look, I don't care what you do. If we need to bring Bowen, Lockheed Martin, the CEOs here, and ask them about diversity. Ask them about it.
Yep.
And so twice a month, we brought those folk in, and we asked, do y'all have black people?
I love that.
You
Good.
know, it's what you do.
How many people on your board, your corporate board? How many in the C-suite, the executive ranks?
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We appreciate you for doing that kind
but
of
now
service.
the problem with that is those companies would go around my back to somebody who looked like me.
Yeah, they would. Every time.
And try to, say, oh, well, we can't talk to Benny.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Scared.
we can talk to Robert.
Yeah, our perpetual problem.
One of the people Harriet would have left behind. We know
Yes.
that.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you before. Oh, sorry. Derek, go ahead.
When you work for the congressman, my second day he said, okay, let me tell you what you do. Your job is to help black folks.
That's it.
You're going to make a mistake. That's okay as long as you're helping black folks. But if you make a mistake and helping black folks, then we got a problem. But as long as you're helping black folks.
Yeah.
And you fast forward, you talk to Art Collins. Art Collins will tell you that his consultancy government relations firm would not exist but for the congressman.
That's right.
Because folks came to his office, wanted to meet. He said, y'all come back when y'all got somebody I can talk to.
Yeah.
Well, he said, you got a recommendation? He said, yeah, it's a fellow over here. Next thing you know, Art starts the group.
Yeah.
And he
Right?
did it all ethically and above board. That's the most
right.
important thing.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely.
Because,
Because they would tell me, if I could find
Can't
somebody.
find.
He hates
they can't
that.
find.
He can't
We all
find.
do.
I know.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
That's the
Hates
funniest
it.
thing right there. If I could find some talent,
Right.
We'd hire
We
him.
we
agree.
hire him today.
Congressman Thompson made us put together a book for hearing witnesses, for appointees in the administration, for staffers. We absolutely had to do that. So
Yeah.
you talked right to his heart.
Yes. Well, we try to do it on mainstream media as well,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like there
Yeah.
are black people who can talk about Middle East politics. There are black people who
Yeah.
can talk about domestic policy.
But the example of the congressman, what I love about it, and Derek, I'm going to say something about you in this, but it is transferable. If you're an elected official, you're a policymaker, you're a person out there who owns a business, and you are operating right now and you're not asking the sensible questions about why doesn't this reflect the community that we have? Why doesn't this room reflect the community that we have? When I lost the race for governor in 2018, one of the first calls I got in late 2018 was from that brother over there, Derek Johnson, asking me, are you set up? Are you okay? He knew that in addition to me having come out of that race that way, that I was also no longer mayor. And he didn't know what my economic situation was, but he kicked open the door.
Kids.
And I had kids. And he said he wanted me to be okay. And I use these two examples. One, they're excellent examples of humans, but their clarity around the way in which they are to impact the world is clear, but it doesn't belong to them. It's transferable. All of us can learn from it, and we can repeat it. And gentlemen, we thank you for that example.
You know what? I think I messed up because I asked him, should I start a GoFundMe for him?
Yeah.
But he didn't take it.
Yes.
He didn't take mine coming from the heart, apparently. That's what I
You know, we can't help Bakari. He's okay.
Congressman,
okay.
before you leave the set, I do want to ask, you have two former staffers here. Which of the two former
Lord.
staffers
Gets in the most trouble.
caused the most trouble?
Oh, I thought you were going to say which one you like the best. The one you like the best is
I wanna
Derek.
know
We
who
know
caused
that.
the
Well, I don't know. He just looked right at me.
Look. My job is to train
That's it.
another 100 people.
That's
just
it.
like them.
That's it.
And look, when somebody comes and complains to me about how hard Angela is on them, I know Angela is doing her job.
Right.
When they say to Derek, say, I don't understand. I can't talk to Derek. He did. Derek's doing his job. So I judge them by the people who come to me complaining about it.
They
I
are
love
your
it.
legacy.
If nobody's complaining,
They ain't doing nothing.
Right. Right.
and we have a lot to do.
Yeah,
That's right.
But our charge
Yeah.
for this audience, we now have people in positions who can help us make a difference.
Come on.
And somehow they take the coloration and character of the enemy.
Yeah.
And so we now find ourselves butting heads with people who look like us.
Yes.
Trying to convince them
That's right.
that it's all right to do business with people who look like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we would never say do business with someone that's not qualified.
Right.
Right.
But the most of the people you're doing business with, you don't even know.
Amen.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm doing now is mentoring people who are new mayors in cities. I was a mayor in the 70s. And I said, especially when those mayors have either been Congress people or something like this, I said, now, when you win that office and this consultant comes up who's been representing that city that you've been the congressperson in, and you never met them,
Problem.
run them off.
Yes.
Amen to that.
Problem.
Exactly.
Run them off. If they didn't see the value of you when you were in this other position, when you're here now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you
Wow.
don't watch out, they'll go and bring somebody who looks like you that you don't even know.
Yeah.
They're
Don't
not
be
gonna-
one of those people.
They're not going to even give you the respect of saying, look, I'm looking for somebody. Send me some people you might know. They'll go pick Joe Blow off the street.
Yes. Absolutely.
Put a suit on him or her.
Yes. Exactly. Well,
Joe or
Congressman-
Joanna.
Yes. Congressman, we know you and Derek are both super busy. We want to thank you guys so much
Come on up.
for joining
Come on.
us.
I
We
see the
appreciate you
senator
being here.
here.
We're
Come
bringing,
on,
Look
take
at
this.
that.
we're bringing
Lord.
in Senator Cory
Stanford's
Booker.
finest.
Cory
He still got it.
Senator
Love you, man.
Cory
Thank you.
Booker
Thank you.
Thank you,
from
Derek
the great
Johnson.
state of New
Thank
Jersey.
you, Congressman. We appreciate
Derek,
you
we
being
love
here.
you.
Thank you, Derek.
We love
Thank
you
you.
both.
Boss, I love you.
Congressman.
We
Thank
are
you so
being
much, man.
joined
How you been doing?
now
Wow,
by
you look good.
Democratic
Yes,
Senator.
always.
We're being joined right now by Democratic